Welcome to the Environmental Film Festival in the nation's capital this year, celebrating its 30th anniversary. I'm Ann Hornaday, Chief Film Critic at the Washington Post. You've just seen the amazing documentary, We Feed People, and I am delighted and honored to have with me the featured player in that documentary, the cook and activist, José Andrés. José, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Where are you? You're in a car. Tell us where you are.
I am in a car. I'm driving between shelters and shelters. We are on our way to dinner before the curfew goes on in La Pif, and so we have time to go back to the hotel. And today we've spent the day visiting different shelters where World Central Kitchen is helping with food and other things. So that's what we're doing.
Okay. You have been in Ukraine virtually since the beginning of the Russian invasion. Tell us, give us an update if you can on how it's going there for you.
Yeah, I mean, World Central Kitchen came in into this conflict within hours of the Russian invasion began. We began our operation like we always do. We pick a place. The place was Ika in the border in Poland, where there is one route M11, which has a direct connection with Lviv and obviously into Kiev. This was the main road that many people were trying to escape the horrors of war. We began feeding there a few thousand meals the first day, and since then we've been growing, doubling or more every single day. Today, 4 weeks into the operation, we are already, in the millions of meals, over 250,000 meals a day. We are with over, I think, 100 restaurant partners, 100, maybe 50 restaurant partners inside Ukraine. We are in 6 countries: Slovakia, Moldova, Hungary, Romania. We are in Poland, obviously. We are in Spain. We keep adding. We are in 21 cities in Ukraine. The number keeps growing. And we are doing what we have to do, feeding in the shelters that randomly are created in different businesses, kindergartens, schools. Any place these days becomes a quick way for people to help through creating these kind of refugee shelters. And again, we make sure that people, as they are escaping horror, are fed well while they wait in the buses, when they wait in the cars, when they cross the border by walking, or once they get to the different refugee shelters that is giving them a little bit of comfort away from home until they find a place to stay or until the war ends.
Mm. You make a point in the film of making sure that the food that you serve your guests is food that they want, food of their own culture, that gives them, real comfort. What are you feeding people there?
Well, quite frankly, I will love to tell you I know every single menu, but we have many menus because with so many amazing restaurants. But obviously, we're doing dishes that people like, that people kind of feel comfort. So when we arrived here at the beginning, the temperatures were freezing.
Yeah.
Thanks God, spring is coming, and now the temperatures are not cold anymore, even in some parts at night, maybe freezing. So you need to understand, soups will win the day. I've seen a lot of borscht of different in Poland, inside Ukraine. But again, the menus vary because now we are also trying to make sure that we adapt to whatever is available. I mean, food is available. Supermarkets are full. We're able to bring food from Poland into Ukraine, from Spain into Poland and into Ukraine. But again, we try to use the ingredients, the different grains that Ukrainian people, sometimes we need to take care of health issues, maybe religious issues. So you may be seen as doing kosher meals, so you may be seen as doing obviously menus without pork or without meat,
Mhm.
or adapting to sometimes necessities of people that they require a special menu for health issues. So, during the day, I try to taste many of the meals we do because I call myself the chief feeding officer, but I'm also the chief taster officer to make sure that the food will be at the level that I will serve to my family or to my guests when they come my home or my restaurants. People in these moments, they don't deserve anything less.
Indeed, indeed. So as we saw in the film, usually you're doing this amazing rapid response to natural disasters. Of course, you did respond to the pandemic, and now this is literally a war. Tell us what's similar and what's different in terms of a wartime context for your work.
Well, it's very complicated, right? Complex, because I'm in Lviv right now and I'm about to go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I had some time to walk around the street, today less. But yesterday, I would see families playing with the children in a park or people having a coffee in a side cafe I think in the best warmer day of the last 4 weeks. And when you see those images, if you will put music around your ears, you will think like nothing is happening until sometimes you hear the sirens, because seems maybe a possibility of a missile or some bombing. Or when you see churches and other buildings that they are covered in protective gear or with wood panels, or you see official buildings with sacks full of sand. Everything is normal until you began noticing that nothing is normal. When all of a sudden you go to a shelter and you see that people are, one on top of each other, even those shelters, everybody's trying to run them the best way they can. And when you are going and try to talk to somebody, they began breaking in tears because maybe they lost their loved one in bombing, or because they found out that their husband who is fighting the war has been killed. Stories like these keep happening. Things are normal until you realize that things are not normal. 4 weeks after, seems it's certain normalcy in the war. Seems it's normal that somebody's killing somebody. Seems that the news began being given like more dead people, more bombing, more shelling, more destruction. And it's one moment that this is why we need to be careful, that we cannot afford to let this situation become normal, because it's not normal. It's abnormal that one person may be creating mayhem in a country, in a continent, in a way in planet Earth. In a moment that we should be celebrating Easter, in a moment that we should be celebrating the tradition of farmers of planting for the wheat for the next season, so Ukraine can keep feeding their people and the rest of Europe and the rest of the world. Those same farmers right now, almost they are fighting a war. Those same farmers, almost they are pulling tanks away from the street. Doesn't make any sense that we allow one person to somehow impact the destiny of 8 billion people. And that's why we can never allow these moments to it under any circumstance to seem like they are normal. I'm here to make sure people will keep reminding themselves that it's okay to celebrate life and our triumphs and our vacations and our successes. But I don't believe we will ever, anybody of us, have success when we know in other corners of the world is people going through complete chaos and mayhem. That's what I'm trying to do. Make sure that we can be next to the people that are suffering, giving them comfort, but at the same time, trying to remind all of us that one day we can be them. Therefore, we cannot let them walk alone.
It's fascinating. You just made the connection so beautifully. As you do in the film, we see this evolution of your work into an increased understanding on all of our parts of food as a security issue. And it feels like you are now exploring that idea in a completely different way, in a high stakes way, but it's very much a continuum of what you've been doing. Tell me about your relationship with NGOs, with official governments, is your personal security more of an issue in this place?
No, I feel very secure everywhere.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm much more secure than women and children that they are under shelling right now in cities east of where we are. You know, my safety is not going to be by building higher walls around me or my daughters. My safety is when we don't build walls, but we build longer tables. What is good for my daughters must be good for the daughters of other men and women. We cannot be building a world where politicians and leaders see enemies in those that don't look like them. See everybody that will not share their religion or their color of eyes or hair. We are sometimes made believe that they are our enemies. Therefore, we need to build walls. We actually need leaders that believe in the longer tables idea. And that's the best way I can be protecting my daughters from mayhem, by making sure that we all fight together in providing for everybody the same things we're trying to provide for our own. So for me, actually, being in Ukraine gives me comfort, gives me a little bit of comfort of knowing that there's many men and women that I'm watching in first, as a spectator in first person, that in the worst moments of humanity is when the best of humanity shows up, of empathy in every corner, of people that leave everything on the side, used to be here next to people, trying to help them in any way they can, even if they are not part of organization. Somebody will just make soup and go to a place that maybe in the early hours of this war, as people were leaving the border, they will be welcoming them with a hot soup in a night that was minus 10 Celsius degrees. You see random, spontaneous moments of goodness that when you put all of that together in millions and millions of gestures like that, becomes a very amazing force of goodness. That's what Wars and Dragic tries to do, bring together that army of goodness, not into independent people or restaurants doing their own thing, but bringing them as one. That's why World Central Kitchen. We are a force where we can be feeding anybody in need, especially in moments that people show up at 4 a.m. in the morning in a train station, and we need to be ready for them, like if they were guests in my restaurants. We've been feeding from day one in many parts in the border 24/7. I don't do it. Men and women that decide that that's the right thing to do in this moment. Sometimes this is not government agencies. Sometimes this is not UN. Very often this is not the European community. I'm not very thrilled of the response for weeks into of the UN. I'm not very thrilled of the response of the European community, but at the end, this goes to the very big agencies or very big governments, that my question will always be the same. What are you here for? If you're the very big elephant in the room in terms of the power you have, the experience you have, and the budget you have, you are here to take leadership on these issues. And when I don't see that leadership, I get upset. But I get upset only because we must be expecting from those agencies better, because those agencies are us. If they don't do it, we fail. So I have a feeling I have to speak on behalf of all of us. Quite frankly, you saw it in the show. I can be moody at times. I can be I lose my patience. When we have people hungry, I lose my patience. When we have people that we don't take care, I lose my patience. When we have sometimes situations that we put people in danger, it's like the urgency of now sometimes overpowers me. But that's why it's so important we are here with boots on the ground, not giving speeches in a big room where everybody's looking at their own belly and they clap after somebody says something amazing and very magnificent. We need to stop giving speeches and being more with boots on the ground in the places that the voiceless needs us, that the people that have nothing needs us. That's the places organizations need to be next to those people. So nobody, as I said before, will ever walk alone again. We must do better. We can do better. We should do better. Wasn't a kitchen very small. I'm going to try to make sure we don't become those bigger organizations, not by criticizing them, but just by showing them that maybe other ways where they can be leaner, much more efficient, and put the money that the governments of the world puts in their hands to take care of people in need, especially in moments like this.
Well, that segues beautifully to what is unfortunately going to have to be my last question, because I know your time is of the essence, but I'm sure I'm not alone in watching this film and being galvanized and being galvanized. And I'm sure a lot of viewers are asking themselves, what can I do? So how can we help World Central Kitchen? How can individuals do their best to help you in your mission?
Because we cannot all show up in emergencies. And quite frankly, America is one of the most giving countries in the world. People really care. We are here because mainly American people has been supporting our efforts when they see what the men and women of World Central Kitchen do every single day. If you feel like we are the organization you want to support, every dollar counts, and we take it. Sometimes people don't have the dollar. Maybe you have the right connection because where you are, hey, send us an email. Maybe that idea changes the world. I'm looking for WhatsApp to have instant translator. I just told the CEO WhatsApp, hey man, we need instant translator between multiple countries. I'm dealing here with an operation with 6 different languages. We need help here. Things like this. Use your talents in the best way you can. To everybody tells me, but Jose, I'm not prepared to help. Everybody needs to believe in themselves. That's number 1 rule. You and every one of you have a talent that can help others. You don't need to be helping the world. Maybe you are helping the neighbor next to you. That's all you need to do sometimes to lift the world. But if you like what we do in World Central Kitchen, support us. But this is what I'm going to tell you. I am getting very tired. I'm a mentor on humanitarian and social issues, Robert Egger, the man that created Central Kitchen, the organization I've been part of for 30 years, the organization I began peeling potatoes next to ex-convicts and homeless, the organization that showed me that a plate of food can be an amazing way to create a better neighborhood, a better city, the organization that showed me that everybody should belong and everybody should give them the opportunity to belong. The organization that showed me that food is actually an amazing agent of change. Robert Egger, when I met him, told me that philanthropy is about the redemption of the giver, when philanthropy must be about the liberation of the receiver. Way too often we're giving away and we feel good about it. Listen, yes, don't feel guilty, but we should give our time, our dollars, or our know-how to charities that they understand that what you give them is important, and where you need to ask yourself, what is the return on investment on that money and giving to that charity? We need to be talking about philanthropy in the same way we talk about for-profit. When you invest in a restaurant or in a business or in Wall Street, you know the success of your investment by how much money you are making. In NGOs, in non-government agencies, in government sometimes, we need to be asking, what is the return on investment? So we need to learn about stop throwing money at the problem and start today investing into solutions. If not, forever we'll keep giving, forever we'll be generous and throwing money to causes, but forever we'll keep having hunger, forever we'll have homelessness, forever we will be having so many issues that they seem we're never able to resolve. So if it's not World Central Kitchen, find organizations that you believe they are having a true impact and a true return on the investment. Do the same you will do for your private dollars to make money for you and your family. Do that in the nonprofit world, in your philanthropy world. And maybe then the world will be a better place. Yeah, we have a lot of this. I think this car wants to be part of this movie because he keeps making a lot of noises. I mean, I don't know his name yet, this car, but it's a car that has a very bad behavior. He keeps interrupting. I think it's a man because women usually will not interrupt you.
Maybe it's the driver. Can you introduce your driver to our audience? They'll get a big kick out of that.
To all my dear friends of Washington, D.C., number one, I cannot believe I am in a film festival. Next to the great Jane Goodall. I mean, you know, I have a photo in my house, which is one of my favorite photos. Jane almost looking at me and giving me a hug and giving me like a kiss. I love Jane, and I cannot believe that film I've been part of. Again, it's not a film about me. It's a film about Wall Central Kitchen. We fed people, no, I feed people. But I love that I'm in this festival, Jane Goodall, and I believe me, this breaks my heart. I cannot be there with you. But for all of you, look who's been my driver. The one, Karif Gunaga. I pronounce you well?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I didn't know what he did before that. I asked him what he does for a living, and he does, well, I use my phone and I make videos. Yeah. And then I Wikipedia him and Google him and like, shit. Yeah, I asked him for a piece on his next movie. I told him what I can be the next Latino James Bond because my accent, but he said, no way, Jose.
Jose's looking at the next chapter. It might involve acting, so we'll see.
Yeah. So it's funny that I'm talking to you in a film festival. The only time in my life I've spoken in a film festival, I think. And my driver is the one. Boom.
I just can't think of anything more appropriate. It's a full circle moment, and we're here for it. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Ron Howard is around, but maybe he shows up too. Who knows?
Oh, look at how you're tossing these names off so casually, Jose.
He just texted me. He was looking for places in Spain for his next movie. So I think I've been an influence even on Ron Howard. He's looking for locations, maybe around Spain for a movie. Boom, I love it.
Your reach is long, wide, and generous, my friend, and we are thrilled that it is. So please stay safe where you are. Our thanks for your time and for your service. We're so happy you could join us for this closing program of the 30th anniversary of the Environmental Film Festival. And safe travels.
Thank you.
And safe travels.
And all my life I've been with the food critics that they give me stars or not. And Washington Post, I had the great Phyllis Richmond and then Tom Sipsima. Oh my God, every time I know a critic is coming to my restaurant, my heart is pumping. Are you also giving stars to your movies?
It's the worst part of my job. I hate it.
Oh my God. Can I bribe you with a paella? Can I bribe you with a gazpacho?
Yes. No, the answer is yes.
Oh my God.
I'll never be reviewing your restaurant. Yes, please bribe me with paella. Harry on the other hand, he cannot bribe me by driving me.
And for the record, we are doing it live, so nobody can say I am not trying to bribe with everybody knowing. If you're gonna do something wrong, at least making sure you do it with food and feeding people and making them happy. Boom.
Well said.
Thank you, Anne.
Well said. Thank you, Chef Jose. Thank you, Chef Jose. Wonderful to meet you. Wonderful to meet you.
Ciao.